Assalamu alaikum dear students. The topic for today is heat transfer. In today's module, we'll discuss about three different ways in which heat can be transferred. So, before getting into the topic, the one thing that you all should keep in mind is that matter is composed of small particles, and those small particles are actually responsible for transferring heat. It may be through conduction, it may be through convection, or it may be through radiation. Now, the point to think about is that those small particles transfer heat energy, but the point is that how do these small particles transfer energy? Let us think about the particles, the movement of particles, that what happens if heat energy is given. So listen, if we give heat energy to those small particles, the particles will absorb that energy, and whenever they'll absorb that energy, they'll become excited. Okay, so whenever something gets excited, whenever you get excited, you start to run, you start jumping and all that. Same is the case over here. The molecules, on absorbing the energy, will become excited. They'll start to move rapidly. The greater the energy absorbed by the particles, the greater will be the excitement of the particles. Okay, now the question is still here, that this is just about the movement of excited particles. What about the unexcited ones? Listen, particles carrying energy will collide with each other and transfer the energy to the unexcited particles. They will ultimately give the energy to the unexcited particles. This is how heat is transferred. Have a look at this diagram. What is happening over here is that one end of the metal bar is heated. What happens? The molecules, the particles inside the metal rod, on heating, start rapid movement. What happens? These particles move, they collide with each other, they collide with the walls of the metal bar, and they transfer the energy to the unexcited particles. And this is how heat is conducted from a warm end of the metal rod to a colder end of the metal rod. This is conduction. So we can say that heat is conducted from one end, from a warmer end to a colder one. Okay, so this process of heat transfer is called conduction. Let us move towards the second way of heat transfer, that is convection. As you can see in the diagram, remember that if particle is carrying energy, it becomes less denser, and it will be less denser as compared to the colder molecules. Okay, have a look at this diagram. What is happening over here is that sun is warming the land. Okay, the particles of the air on the land will gain energy, will absorb that heat energy that is given by the sun, and ultimately they will become less dense. Conversely, okay, they will become less dense and they will move towards upper level. Okay, at the same time, the colder air from the atmosphere will sink, and those particles will get the heat energy and they will rise up, and the cycle continues. This process of heat transfer was convection. Okay, now let us think about what happens if we place a pizza in oven. Okay, just think about that. What actually makes that pizza to be cooked? The radiation from the oven, the electromagnetic waves get that food to be cooked for us, and that process is through radiation. The electromagnetic waves transfer and they ultimately cook the food, and this process of heat transfer is called radiation. That was all for today. Allah Hafiz.